honestly, the outdoor living that we have now is the best that we've had for sure.
I'm literally able to get up, and 15 minutes I'm dressed and I'm ready to head out to the hunting blind. It's great. Having a place as a family we can kind of fall back and kind of be cut off to the rest of the world to an extent. It really is pretty amazing to have.
I feel blessed every single morning.
Sometimes I'd come home and I'd just tear up.
Living the dream.
It feels like our own oasis.
Any day riding is a good day.
I remember how joyful my childhood was, and that he gets to do the same thing. That makes me feel good.
My goal is to spend the rest of my days out on a place like this.
Just being able to escape, everyday life here on this land, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Our getaway.
Home is family.
I cannot imagine
I couldn't imagine
I couldn't see myself
living anywhere else.
living anywhere else.
anywhere else.
I'm Amy Cook, and this is my husband, Craig.
We live here in Custer, Wisconsin, just outside of Stevens Point, with our son, Dylan, who's 15, and our daughter, Taylor, who currently resides with her fiance, Zach. They come here and visit quite frequently to get food from us for free.
I work for Portage County in the finance department.
And I am 22 years retired U.S. Army, and now I own a business, an outfitter and a fly fishing shop downtown Stevens Point called Fall Line Outfitters. So the store provides guided services for fly fishing and other outdoor activities. It's much more than selling the goods. It's selling the experience to be able to escape and have a good time. Especially being in the military and the stress that's put on somebody that serves in uniform, that was my way of getting away from it, was the outdoor recreate. So to do something that's been a passion of mine for a long time, but then to also allow other families to experience that by getting good gear into their hands. Very prideful that we were able to create something that has provided so much for other people as well. It's a 15-minute drive from Stevens Point out to where we reside. And you kind of hit that chance to decompress, kind of get away from the rat race. And when we pull into the driveway of our property, it's kind of that windy gravel drive. It's our getaway. It's like we're turning into a campground, it's like to an area where I'm getting ready to relax and kind of go on vacation. My dad was a park ranger. He worked for a county park as a manager, so he was always working in the outdoors. And that was just instilled in us at a very young age. It was a fantastic upbringing. Heck yeah, that fire's already cranking. We just gotta feed it now. It'll feel nice and warm and toasty, that's for sure. I joined the U.S. Navy right out of high school. I had a scholarship to play football and decided to opt out of the scholarship and wanted to serve my country. Did 4 years, did a combat tour on USS Carl Vinson over in the Persian Gulf. Then after the Navy, I joined the Army National Guard here in Wisconsin and proceeded to do 2 other tours over in Middle East. And so Amy had to be a single parent, during that time.
Craig and I met in high school sweethearts.
There's a lot of sacrifices and a lot of hard times. It hasn't been easy, but we've gotten to where we are in our life now where, we do appreciate the little things in life. And the house and the property is a big part of that.
Well, I do work from home a couple days a week, so it is nice that I'm able to step outside just for my 15-minute break. I get to take a walk in the woods with Bentley. I've always enjoyed the outdoors, but until meeting Craig, I did not have too much experience with the outdoors.
Don't be modest. She's a very good downhill skier. When we met in high school, we would go on a couple like school trips. And of course, you know, I'm trying to hot dog and show off. And she's over here just like carving up the hill perfectly. That was kind of a turn on, not gonna lie, it was pretty good. I grew up in southeastern Wisconsin, and my father was really big into hunting. Deer season is like a state holiday, more or less. Deer hunting was truly a big part of bringing the family together every year. I can remember, you know, leaving after school on a Friday night, sleeping in the car, and you felt like you were going to the great Northwoods. And then you get to the cabin, and then that's when the real fun started, when all the stories from back in the day came out. And then you had that sense of like, I belong here, like this is fun, you know, this is what this is all about. My dad's father was a World War II veteran, and he had seen a lot of combat. When he came back from the war, it was just a different time. A lot of veterans coped different ways, and it wasn't necessarily the right way or the best way, but that's just how it was. The way that my father was able to connect with his father was to go hunting. You know, my dad was not always the most emotional person, and then when his father passed away, a lot of those stories and those feelings and those emotions of the time that he spent in the outdoors with him came out. And it really resonated, I think, in particular with myself and my brother, how important this has been in his whole life. And I think, you know, to this day, we try to do the same thing with our children, where we try to get them outside and recreate. And hopefully that will be passed on to their kids someday as well. You know, my dad's no longer with us anymore. I know that he'd be looking down on us. Wow. I think he'd be really proud of just that we carried on that legacy that he started with myself and my brother and my sister back in the day. So we lived here for just about 3 years, and every day we live here, we always say to each other, it's like, kind of like coming home to a resort. The house decor is what Amy and I have gathered a lot throughout our life together. We like to go and collect it at different antique stores to really have the house feel different. It's stuff that symbolizes recreating in the outdoors, and it's constant reminders of things we love and enjoy. Just guessing here, how many houses have we owned roughly?
7.
Yeah, 7 houses. That's what happens when you're a military family. We kind of know what we like and what we don't like.
We were living in Stevens Point, right downtown, so lots of traffic and no privacy.
We had started the business, and I was getting ready to retire from the Army, and it was like, we need to slow down. We need to get back connected with nature.
When looking for property, we really wanted to find something that we were able to recreate and find hunting property for Dylan and Craig.
This met all the criteria, the great living quarters, and acreage to be able to do the hunting safely. This kind of just checked all the boxes. The house sits on top of a ridge. Right now, the changing of the seasons is beautiful with the leaves changing and the colors. And then when all the leaves fall off the trees and the snow starts to come down, you're able to see great distances from our vantage point here at the house, picking up wildlife, in particular deer. There's bear in the area. We haven't seen any bear from our house. I think we're probably okay with that.
We did install the wood stove.
So not only a money saver, but obviously the ambiance and just like the warmth that we get from it. We always say there's nothing like having that wood heat. I like the smell of the wood burning. My parents had a log home. You know, this time of year, the wood fireplace would be going. So it reminds me a lot of my childhood. It just says home. Believe it or not, the wood pile that's sitting out there today, most of that will be gone by the end of winter. So it's a continual process of replenishing and taking all season long. And it takes work. The lower of the garage is where all the fun is at. I'm kind of a gear guy, and tractors and chainsaws and different tools that it takes to be able to harvest that wood safely and properly. When we harvest our firewood, it takes a pretty good sized crew to do it, and it's a constant process. We realize that to live this lifestyle, it's gonna take work to do that. I like the idea of doing these things to keep physically and mentally sharp. It doesn't get any easier as you get older, of course, and we're already starting to feel that a little bit, but it's rewarding. It's kind of like a family ritual. Like every Saturday, we're splitting wood. And I always use the rule of thumb that we use 1 tank of gas in the splitter. Once that 1 tank of gas is done, then we're done for the day. I've kind of learned if I try to push it to like 2 tanks or 3 tanks of gas and we're out there for like 3 hours.
Nobody's having it that long.
Woodpile has taken some effort to get to the size it is. We will go out and we will do a select cut on the property as far as trees that maybe have died, but they're still standing upright. So there's a tree up here on the corner I think would be a good candidate to harvest. Zach is our future son-in-law. He's a power lineman for a local energy company.
Swipe birch?
Yeah. What's your thoughts as far as how we can get it on the ground safely?
We got an opening that way.
And he's actually taught me a lot of things, especially when it comes to like the wood harvesting and how to fall trees and stuff like that.
Notch it on the front side and try and drop it in there.
All right, let's get after it. That'll get her done. When we first moved into this property, I would get up before everybody else in the house, make a pot of coffee, and I would walk around every window in the house and try to spot deer. It was like I was on vacation because we just weren't used to like being immersed in the woods. The house sits in the middle of the property on our acreage. So the wildlife and just everything that's going on in the woods, you're able to see standing in the house in your pajamas. So the house has a very large back deck. So the deck is not only a great place to catch some sunshine, but it's also a great place to use as our target practice. All right, let's see what you got. Oh!
All right, well,
That ain't gonna get her done.
I rushed that shot, though.
It was me talking. There you go, nice. All right, let's see if the old man still has it. Yes, sir. That'll get her done. What do you think? Should we head out?
Yeah.
All right. When Dylan and I get ready for the hunt, it's kind of a fun experience as well. We get all the gear on. Dylan likes to put the face paint on. It's important, not only to hunt, but you have to look like you know what you're doing. That's a big part of the whole experience as well. We're hunting whitetail deer. Our property is really designed as more of a transient area for deer to come in and out. We have potato fields around us. We also have corn fields around us, so there's a great food source for the white-tailed deer to go to. They're stopping off on our property to get a drink in the deep kettles created on the property, and then they're moving on to a different area. So we have set up blinds and tree stands to be stationary and basically try to get out there ahead of time to wait for those deer to get up and be active. And that's where we have seen the most success in our hunt, is when those deer are transitioning through our property. Well, I can remember as a little kid, I used to run around our hunting woods like I was in the Army and play, war and do all those different things and then be able to hunt. And those are just awesome childhood memories. And now, like, that we get to experience that here, it's surreal that we get to live here and I get to kind of be a kid again to an extent, but then I get to share that with my kids. It sounded like we had a buck blow hard, and probably about 70 yards from the blind. So we're just kind of hunkering down, waiting to see if it's gonna appear. But it was done multiple times, which is normally a good old morning. Being outdoors for me is more about being immersed in the outdoors. The sounds of the water moving, it's the rustling of the trees, it's the birds that are flying by. Being immersed in the wilderness, spending it with Dylan, it makes me feel really good and satisfied to know that he's able to experience some of the same things that I did when I was a child. The act of harvesting a deer is like the bonus part of it. There's been times where we've been out hunting where we haven't harvested or seen any deer, and it's still a successful hunt in my opinion.
Is that it?
Yes.
Amy goes into the freezer and pulls out quite a few items to feed the entire family. In particular, her famous venison chili.
Do you want to stir that? Yep. This is where we are meant to be at this time of our lives. We've had many adventures. We've tried many different things in life. And we have sacrificed quite a bit. But to be able to escape and recreate here has just been wonderful for our family. This just seems like the place that we should be.
That smells really good.
How did it go?
Saw some deer, but a little empty-handed tonight. Two best parts, the bacon and the onions in here. Yes. That's what I like the best. I do remember, like, when we looked at the property, the kids were like uber excited. Like, this looks like the right place. We can envision, someday the grandkids sledding down these hills and all these different things, and of course we had to say, let's slow down a little bit on the grandkid talk. What is this venison from? Do you know?
Last year's deer.
Last year's deer?
Mm-hmm.
Our family, our kids are our world. We've done a lot of things in life that, we've made a lot of mistakes, but the one thing we have gotten right is I think we've raised some really, really good kids that are thoughtful and appreciative of what we've been able to provide. And I think this house and this property has been a big part of that, and we hope to continue that in the future as well. It takes a lot of hard work to maintain a property like this. Fallen trees, harvesting that wood, heating our own house is not for everybody. It's very emotional. I think as a young man, hoping someday that I would be able to own a piece of property like this, and now that that's happened, it's truly amazing, and I'm very thankful every day that we get to live here. And when we go to bed at night and hear the coyotes howling and we hear, you know, the wind going through the trees, I think it's a pinch yourself moment a lot of the times for us. We don't take it for granted that we get the opportunity to be the caretakers of this house and this property for the time being. And we're gonna maximize that as best we can.